Hi students, how's it going? It's Pete Posner here at Big Break English, your British English teacher. And in today's lesson, we're going to look at IELTS Speaking Part 2. I'm going to tell you about a city I visited. Do you like traveling? I love traveling. Okay, this is one of my favorite IELTS Speaking Part 2 questions. And the language we're going to look at today is using defining relative clauses with which, who, that, and where. Okay, this is really useful for all the parts of the speaking in IELTS and both writing tasks in IELTS. Okay, because if you use these relative clauses, right, then you are using complex structures. Okay, and by using a variety of complex structures you can score 7 or more for speaking and writing in the area of grammar range and accuracy. Okay, and about IELTS writing task 2, if you want to download my free ebook, in the description there is a link. 12 tips for scoring higher on IELTS writing task 2. Okay, let's get on with today's lesson. Hey, here is a task for you. Describe a city you have visited. Talk for 1 to 2 minutes and consider the following questions in your answer. Okay, I'm going to be the student. Okay, I'm going to time 2 minutes and I want you to listen for my answers to these 4 questions. Okay, number 1, where was it? 2, when did you go there? 3, why did you like it? And 4, what areas of the city are the most attractive? Okay, I'm timing 2 minutes. So remember, listen for the answers for those 4 questions, my answers. Okay, here we go. I'm going to talk to you about Salamanca. Salamanca is a city in the west of Spain, and I went there in around 2001, just before I went for my year abroad at a Spanish university. And I'm going to tell you why I love this city. Okay, it's a city which is very popular for foreigners who want to learn Spanish. It's a place where young people can have a great time because of all the great bars and fantastic nightlife. And also, it's a city which is rich in history and culture. There are some beautiful places. I think in general, it's a really nice city. But I have to say there is a large main square, right? That is probably one of the most beautiful squares in Spain. It's called La Plaza Mayor. A lot of Spanish cities have these, but the one in Salamanca is particularly special. And well, other places that I can talk about in the city, if you want to go for a night out eating tapas. So tapas is a typical cultural phenomena in phenomenon in Spain where you go to a bar, you buy something to drink, and then they serve you a small plate of food, a snack, and that's called tapas. And there's a street in Salamanca called Van Dyke, and that has really good tapas and not at all expensive. Okay, so go there. And as I said, in general, I really love Salamanca because you can have a great time. I met a lot of other foreign students at the school where I studied Spanish, and we went out every night and had a fantastic time. Okay, how did you do with those questions? Question number 1, where was it? So it was Salamanca in the west of Spain. Okay. Question number 2, when did you go there? So I went there in around 2001. Okay. And question 3, why did you like it? Well, I said that it's a great city for for young people. Okay, so young people can have a great time. There is really good nightlife. Okay, and question 4, which areas are the most attractive? So mainly I said that the most attractive part of Salamanca is the Plaza Mayor. So that's the main square of the city. Okay. Okay, so now let's focus on the language that I used in my talk, particularly defining relative clauses. Okay, so what are defining relative clauses? Well, they explain exactly who or what we are talking about. Okay, so to form a relative clause, you need a relative pronoun and a clause. Okay, and for the relative pronouns, for people, we use who or that. For example, in my talk, I said Salamanca is a favorite destination for foreign students who want to learn Spanish. Or you could say that want to learn Spanish. Okay, so who or that is, as I said, the relative pronoun that we use for people. Okay, in this case, the people are the foreign students. Okay, and that, so who or that is the relative pronoun, and want to learn Spanish, that completes the relative clause. Okay, just missed one. Okay, and what about which? So the pronoun which or that is used for things. Okay, so in my talk I said Salamanca is a city which is rich in history. Okay, or I could say Salamanca is a city that is rich in history. Okay, so here the thing is a city. Okay, and is rich in history. That completes the relative clause. The pronoun is which or that. Okay, finally, let's look at where. So we use where in a relative clause to talk about a place. Okay, now in the relative clause, where substitutes, replaces there. Okay, so take a look at this. If we use two phrases, Salamanca is a place, young people can have a great time there, right? So in Salamanca. Now, if we then combine those two into the relative clause, we get Salamanca is a place where young people can have a great time. So the where replaces there. And young people can have a great time. That's the rest of the relative clause. The relative pronoun is where. Okay, so where is the relative pronoun for to talk about a place. Okay, so it's time to practice. Okay, here is an exercise for you. Can you fill in the gaps with who, that, where, or which? Sometimes more than one answer is possible. Okay, for example, there is a main square. Okay, this main square is one of the most beautiful in Spain. So this thing is one of the most beautiful in Spain. So for things, we can use that or which. Okay, so you have the option of either of these two relative pronouns. Okay, so there's a main square that is the most beautiful in Spain, or there is a main square which is one of the most beautiful in Spain. Okay, so pause the video and do the same for 1 to 4, and then we'll check together in 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. Okay, how did you do? Number 1, Van Dyke Street is a place you can get good cheap tapas. Okay, so think about this. You can get good cheap tapas there, right, on Van Dyke Street. And we replace there with where. Okay, so here you need to use the relative pronoun where. And then the rest of the relative clause is you can get good cheap tapas. Okay. Number 2, I remember seeing groups of students sang old university songs. That's the La Tuna in Salamanca. Famous students who sing famous groups of students who sing old university songs. Okay, okay, so groups of students are people. With people, we can use the relative pronoun who or that. Okay, so we have, I remember seeing groups of students who or that, and then the rest of the relative clause, sang old university songs. Number 3, there is a higher education institution, is the oldest in the Hispanic world. Okay, yeah, that's the University of Salamanca. Okay, so this thing, right, is the oldest in the Hispanic world. Okay, so again, we need either which or that. And then the rest of the relative clause is the oldest in the Hispanic world. Okay, finally, I had classmates who were from a lot of different countries. Okay, so classmates are people. So again, who or that, either of those relative pronouns, and then the rest of the relative clause. Oops, I'm just going to move myself up. The rest of the relative clause were from a lot of different countries. And there you go. Hey students, that's it for today. So that was today learning about how to use which, who, that, where in IELTS speaking part 2. Okay, and you heard me give a talk on Salamanca. That's a great city, and using these structures, so these defining relative clauses, is a way to add to your variety of complex structures, okay, which is going to help you score higher in grammar range and accuracy, in speaking, but also writing, okay? And remember, if you would like more help with IELTS Writing Task 2, download at the link in the description my free ebook, 12 tips for scoring higher on IELTS Writing Task 2. Okay, and today, well, I gave you a talk on Salamanca, so that was a task 1, sorry, a speaking part 2 talk. And if you'd like me to train you to give part 2 speaking talk, then I'm going to leave a link for that in the description so that you can book IELTS lessons with me. Alternatively, you could take a trial lesson first. I'll also leave the link in the description. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video today, if you found it useful, please like it, please share it, and I really look forward to the next video. See you again soon. Have a great evening.